The quality of the work was astounding. It was incredibly high. The audience responded so well to it, and the messages that these pieces carried are incredibly poignant. They're really, really powerful. They're saying that young people should be given a choice and should be given a voice, because if they do, they'll use it to the fullest and really express themselves coherently, intelligently, and passionately. So, all in all, this for me has been the icing on the cake for me.
It's Saturday the 26th of November and we're here at the Albany Theatre in Deptford. We're working with the Red Room. They are putting on an event called the Riot Response. They came and saw our work at OvalHouse, really impressed with the standard of work from our young people and the messages that they carry, and so they asked us to come along and asked if we wanted to get involved in their event. So we've done all 3 acts along, all very different, all just as powerful as each other. This is all part of the idea, all part of the conquest to try and get some answers as to why the riots happened back in August, and we're really glad to be assisting in that.
I'd done a monologue at the Give Me a Voice Not a Label, which was written by Sade Banks. It was basically about what happened in the riots, and to give a positive sort of a message to the young ones to fix up, basically.
I watched the Question Time special on the riots and I felt sickened to hear that people who are guilty of looting and taking part in the riots face not only jail time, but the possibility of losing their homes and the benefits. I felt sickened. I felt sickened that there was a petition online that anyone could sign for this idea to be debated upon in the House of Commons. I felt even more sickened. I knew people who signed it.
I'm doing a monologue from Bussing It, which was part of the Truth About Youth project produced by OvalHouse earlier this year.
Say we realise, I don't think we are mature, financially stable enough to support, so we choose to abort without parental consent. Shit, if we don't, all 3 of us will be living in a tent, not affording the rent. Or in my back garden. Osama bin Laden. See, I listen to the news. News to you, I bet. Who did you vote for? If I asked you, would you know what they stood for? Sounding like a right boy, aren't I?
Basically, I did a duet with one of my partners in crime, Tolu, and we did a piece about how youths are like literally being assumed as if they've done the riots.
Realise you have some any next elephant coochie boom. You are an ugly bitch.
Well, basically it's a play within a play. So it's a bunch of school kids and they're putting on a play at their secondary school.
It's based around 7 characters, predominantly 16-year-olds, apart from me, I'm 17. And it is set in a rehearsal room and they're rehearsing to do a play in their school, so it's a play within a play.
It came from, because I've been writing this since I was 16, and it came from just the last year of secondary school, and I always wanted to do something on youth my age.
Skiing itself is about how these individuals represent themselves to the public or to whoever else, and how they want to be perceived by the other people. So it's about identity and status and relationships and sexuality. It's very high energy.
And why you can't even think to comprehend it? Comprehend what? That every youth in this play talks like they just made in weed, fresh out the yarn well, or that every guy is some dirty hoe who gets smashed 4 times in a sweet potato and talks about how her poop smells like shit, or how every man treats his girl
Today we're at the Cinema Museum for Night at the Museum. It's been a really, really great night. The films on display, all conducted, generated, filmed, directed, acted by young people. So proud, so proud. I was absolutely overwhelmed by the talent on display. They've really proved themselves this evening. The material itself, all very demonstrative of just how inspiring creative young people can be. No association with knife or gun crime, so on and so forth. It was just about the simple truth of what it is to be young in London. We had some really exciting individuals in the building as well. Noel from the BFI, obviously doing amazing stuff with his young people in film.
I mean, it's really important for young people to not only make films, but also to show their films, and also to show their films not just to the peer group, but to adults, and ideally to policymakers, decision makers, people in the media. Because if you want to change the sort of way that young people are perceived through the media, then you have to kind of get those kinds of people involved and get a discussion going and get them to listen to you. And some of the most creative and interesting ways to get people to listen to you is to make a film.
Bruce Goodson, who directed this awesome BBC Three drama, My Murder, which I think presented a really accurate portrayal of what that incident actually incurred. We had Shivani and Malachi, both starred in the films, having their up there on the panel was really hopefully acted as a nice inspiration for the young people, the young actors and actors that were in the audience as well, showing that look how achievable, how obtainable it is, achievable. They up there, they started here at OvalHouse, and now they're up there shooting films for the BBC, up on the panel talking about their experience of it. So all in all, it's been a really, really great night and really effective night.
Thank you very much for your time, giving us your time. Thank you very much.
Today was an intuitive day. So basically we're bringing younger and older generations together.
This is a project about bringing two generations together, young and old, and so I implore and encourage you all, please, to interact with each other, have a chat. Young people are not as frightening as you would think.
Well, the idea for today was to really challenge the negative perception that is put about us young people in the media.
Generally in media and generally around people you speak to, they're like, young people don't talk to the older people, or the young people are like, well, the old people just don't understand us. And, this has basically proven them wrong.
I think it's great because right at the beginning I was very keen to get an intergenerational project going, because it is very sad that youth, not only is there is the bad media representation which needs correcting, but they're compartmentalised, and they aren't. We're all part of the same democracy, the same people, the same human beings.
I mean, every one of us has grandparents, and we all speak to our grandparents, we all have fun with our grandparents. There's no difference here. We're coming here, we're chatting, we're having fun, just having an amazing time.
And to actually marry up in most families, even if they're not the traditional families, there's often a grandparent or other parts of the generation that are still in existence. And I think it's very important that if there isn't a family, that youth actually find a new family with some of the older generation, because that way you actually end up with happier families, if you like.
It has been a majorly successful day. We had more senior citizens groups coming in. We had individual senior citizens coming in, which is fantastic. So they're coming from all over South London, South East London, which is fantastic. They all came, they all saw, and I think we conquered. It's been ultimately a really successful day, more successful than last year. So I'm really, for one, I'm relieved and absolutely thrilled that we've got to pull off again, and looking forward to what we're going to do next year, because it's going to get bigger and better.
This is the last performance of Romeo and Juliet, and I suppose while we're here in this particular scene, this is the party scene that's taking place. You're generally, as an audience member, you're seated and the stage is there, whereas this time the audience is following the characters, and the characters are always the characters. And I totally agree with that. That is almost a journey through the lives of these characters in the most purest form, following Romeo, following Juliet in every endeavour, and it's definitely different.
It's been excellent. I mean, there's people who I know who have not watched any Shakespeare who've come, and initially it's been like, what's this? What's going on? So just the mere promenade has thrown people kind of in what's supposed to happen, and so even if people have gone to promenade, you don't know what's going to happen because it's not your show unless you're in there.
I think it's a real it's a real, I suppose, shock or surprise, or it's just something completely different that the audience haven't received before.
The age that we're working with at the moment, in the teens, that's where you got the fire. You're trying to establish yourself as a person, as an adult. That's when you're trying to establish yourself, is through these years. So it's quite informative, and I love the fire that the young people bring. It's for me, it's wicked.
I think a lot of people are expecting the youth theatre to be a certain level. They're expecting young people, in terms of creative stuff, to be a specific message or a specific whatever, but we're showing that young people can create amazing art regardless. You come and see a show like this, it would be almost like at the level of the national level, at the biggest shows that you could possibly see, and it's all done by young people. And so I think the message that we're sending is that, regardless of what you might think about young people, regardless of what you might have heard about young people, like, come here and see this, see the art that they're creating, because it's on such a level that you have not seen before.
We are here at Cam Festival 2012. We have brought Bussing It, the show we did last year outside the Ritzy Cinema. And here it is. We are here on the double-decker bus again. Different cast, same show though, same messages, same agenda. It's just as strong, very different audience though.
No, I think it's a shame. I think young kids these days, they get charged with the same brush, don't they? They're, like, everybody thinks that young kids want to cause disruption, cause trouble or whatever. But actually, it might be in the same in the city of London, but where we live in a nice little place in Peterborough. And I think the kids do quite well, don't they?
It's really exciting actually, because starting the project, we got a documentary, and I got to see the lovely Rosie perform this piece. And when I was watching it, I was just like, oh my God, they're on a bus and they're performing, and just local people are seeing it. And I personally enjoy seeing theatre that's done in a different format, unconventional theatre. I really enjoy that. So to get the opportunity to do that and be a part of this project is really, really cool. I think in terms of the Truth About Youth project in general, again, we are challenging the negative stereotypes about young people.
We sent a whole lot of promo material out last year at the end of TY Year 1, and it basically, the show and the idea, the concept got snapped up by the festival organiser, Becky. We met with her, we told her a little bit about what Truth About It's all about and challenging perceptions of young people. She really wanted us to come in. It's important that we took it to Camp Festival because we're looking at a very different audience here. So it's really nice and really important actually that we get a whole new audience up here, that actually we're inspiring them and getting involved in the arts, and people aren't just perceiving it as just some sort of a luxury or passion. It's not, it is a way of life, it is a profession, it is taken seriously, there is a discipline that is required to it. So if there's young people doing that, then it can only be a positive thing.